Hello, internet. Welcome to the long-awaited original content that you've been longing for. Remember the time where I made a song for literally just a Guild War video? Yeah, those were the good old days. But we're not here to be sentimental. Today we're here to be sad, uncreative, and depressed because that's what a college student means. But anyways, today we'll be doing something different. All Knights artifacts explained. It's trying something new. I've never done this before. I felt like doing it. My editor loves doing it, and yeah. This will mainly be targeted. This video will be targeted towards newer players who've just finished 10-10 and thought that, oh damn, I got a 5-star Spark Noble Love, and thought that that's actually better than a 5-star character. Oh no, let me enlighten you. I'll be putting these artifacts in tiers as well, so you get a general idea on how good each one are and how they compare to each other, and you know how much value they are. And just a disclaimer, the tier looks like this. And this says dust. You don't have to dust it. It's just that it's as bad as it's better to be a dust than to be an artifact itself. I mean, dust is more valuable than the artifact itself, but you don't have to dust it. You don't have to. Just because I say it's dust doesn't mean you have to dust it. All right? Understand? Good. And do know that all these artifacts, no matter where I rank them, they might get buffed or nerfed. We don't know. So take this with a grain of salt. But as of right now, I do believe all of these, I'll just rank them as they are right now. Now, before we start, just to clear things up, for those who don't know yet, who are probably really new to the game, a Knight artifact is basically a Knight exclusive artifact. And what that means is you can only equip them on Knights. And you can check out the classes of each unit in the journal or just the hero tab in your hero tab. Right, here's the tier list about right here. There we go. And yeah, we're gonna start with the first one. Adamant Shield. That damn shield can't be penetrated by anything. I guarantee you. Because even my sword couldn't. Starfencer Isla. This artifact decreases critical hit damage received by all allies by 16%. When this effect is granted more than once, only the strongest effect is applied. Alright, now let's see how this works. Basically, if you got this artifact from your summons, you can equip it to one of your knights. And what it does is that as long as the knight has this artifact equipped and is still on the field, your entire team, including the one that is holding the artifact, will enjoy a maximum of 16% critical damage decrease. You will not see this effect appearing on the screen at all. However, if you equip this to any knight that also have similar effect, only the strongest one is applied. Say you equip this on Crimson Armin, which has a maximum of 15% critical damage reduction while the artifact has 16%. That means the game will only calculate Adamant Shield's 16% crit damage reduction. By maxing this artifact, you'll also obtain more flat stats, which this artifact will grant a maximum of 819 flat HP to the wielder. So this artifact is an absolute definite S for me. The Knights protects, and this guy, he protects. Next up, we have Ancient Dragon Legacy. Let's start with the conclusion, shall we? He goes right here. You get an increase of 15% crit chance, and after the wielder of this artifact uses a non-attack skill, the wielder and only the wielder gets a 50% chance to increase crit damage for 2 turns. Now, a Knight's main job is to usually protect your allies while bruising or weakening the enemy. Giving crit damage buff to a knight is like giving Kim Jong-un a bowl of salad. He won't ever eat it. Plus, you're also forced to put this on someone with a non-attack skill just to proc the crit damage buff, right? So, honestly, the only one who's suited for this artifact is like Mort or maybe Lilius, honestly. And we all know how great the great Mortalix is now, do we? When was the last time you see him in RTA? And next up, we got a big one. It's this guy. I mean, girl. We got Aureus, and again, let's start with the conclusion. This thing is an absolute, like, right here. I can't even place it above. But yep, Aureus is pretty good. In fact, it's probably the best artifact in the whole game. No, it's not. Aureus increases the defense of allies by 10% and takes 20% of the damage suffered by any allies other than the wielder of the artifact, of course. Now, this effect is literally 5-star worthy. Firstly, the defense increase is always just straight up stat boosting, so nothing bad about that, it's always good, right? But the main thing it does is that the holder of this artifact will take 20% damage that is taken by any other ally for them. 20% of that damage will be taken by the Aureus holder instead. If the damage is AoE, 20% of all other allies' damage will be taken by the Aureus holder instead. This means that your knight gets to protect every ally even better. And if you use this effect alongside very tanky allies, you will build the Great Wall of China. Similar to Adamant Shield, only the strongest effect is applied. Say you have Seaside Bellota. Her passive allows 30% of her damage to be transferred to the front row. And if you have an Aureus holder on the field, the damage transfer that SSB would enjoy is her own passive's 30% damage transfer to the front row, because that's the higher amount, right? And here's just a tip for the newer players out there. If you do Aureus and Adamant Shield together in the same team, your allies will take 16% less damage, and on top of that, 20% of that damage will be taken by the Aureus holder. And moving up next, we have Bastion of Perlucia. I see you. First of all, let's just get one thing straight. 10 out of 10 art. At the start of the battle, grants the ally with the highest attack immunity for 1 turn and a barrier equivalent to 15%, 30% at max, of the wielder's max HP for 2 turns. Basically, if you put this artifact on any knight, and if this knight goes into battle, the ally with the highest attack will automatically receive these buffs. You don't even need to take a turn for it. It will automatically start if you go in with this artifact. The immunity helps people with no immunity, and the barrier just makes your squishy DPS survive even longer, potentially messing with the opponent's cleave or debuffs and such, since they'd have to get rid of the immunity and the barrier first to really hurt your DPS. This is a good artifact to use on offense if you're using a slower DPS that needs the protection. It's also very good to catch cleavers off guard. Or you could give the barrier to like a stealth unit like Mandy, so they'd have to crack down on the barrier first before even getting to hurt her. So overall, I rank this artifact at a very solid A. It's not used every moment. You don't get to use it every time you go into a match like you could with Aureus or Adamant Shield. But especially for newer players, the immunity could be pretty useful for you in your arena runs or guild war runs where you might not have an Azura team ready yet. And next we have Crown of Glory, and this one increases defense by a very good 16% at max level. And what it does is that it removes 5 souls from the enemy when the caster suffers an attack that targets all allies. So basically the wielder gets more defense first of all, and the enemy that uses any AoE attack, they'll end up losing 5 souls if the holder of Crown of Glory is on the field after taking the hit of the AoE. It's as simple as that. There's nothing too crazy, nothing too flashy about that. Do note though, it's an interesting fact. Do note that Crown of Glory actually gets to stack. So you can actually have 2 holders of Crown of Glory in the same team. You will actually take away a total of 10 souls, 5 each, right? Let's get some facts straight though. This is an RTA only artifact. Now for newer players out there, you will not be able to join RTA unless you're like rank 60 or something. So if you have this artifact, do know that, don't worry, you will get to use it one day if you want to use it. But otherwise, there's no use at all for it because it's only an RTA exclusive artifact. You can only remove souls from players that's in real-time arena. So for this one, I'll put it at a B tier. It is usable, but then again, you wouldn't really find yourself using it too much at all. And next off, we've got a big one in a lot of ways. Elmers Ritual Sword. First of all, the art. 20% chance at max level to counterattack when an ally is attacked. It's very simple, nothing flashy. If the enemy hits someone other than the wielder of this artifact, the wielder gets 20% chance at max level to counterattack. This is especially useful if the enemy uses an AoE attack, as you'll basically get several 20% chance checks. Basically, it could just not proc when the AoE hit the first ally, but it could proc with the second or the third ally, or all at once really. This artifact is very much used in any form of PvP, and some knights live off of this artifact. Bellion is a beast with this artifact. Charles live off of this artifact. Mort is still shit with this artifact. And as for this artifact, I'd place it in the high A's. I can't really say it's high or low, but just imagine it's high A's, and just imagine you can't see her head. It's below the dress of the Aureus girl. Near as high A's, but the only thing holding it back is you can't really just use it on everyone. There's a select few people who needs it and shines absolutely beautifully with it. Next we have Highlight Lance. Increases combat readiness by a maximum of 10% when an ally is attacked by a single attack. Nothing too complex. It literally does what it says. When someone other than the wielder is attacked, the wielder gets 10% CR increase. This artifact is in a bit of a weird spot since almost any knights can benefit more from other artifacts. It's just not as good as other options, so I'll give this artifact a little near the low end of a B. A solid B. Next off we have Holy Sacrifice. Holy. This artifact gives a maximal 100% chance to be revived with 25% HP and a barrier for 1 turn after dying. You overturn death. Yeah, sounds insane. The barrier string is proportional to the wielder's max HP and can only be activated once per stage, or basically once per RTA fight or guild war attack or arena attack. But it's quite bad if you don't have it at max limit break and max level. In order to max limit break this, you'd have to have 5 copies, and on top of that, 1 original Holy Sacrifice. That's 6 total Holy Sacrifice, right? This also means if it's not 100%, you might just get cut by a random 5% and lose the fight because of it. So if you ever want to rely on the Holy Sacrifice chance to revive, you kind of have to plus 30 it. And they usually just catch cleavers off guard, if anything, and clutch out some bruiser fights as well, actually. Very useful at times. Very useful at times. I'll give it, it's hard to give this a grade because, hear me out. I'll give it an A at plus 30 and a C if it's not plus 30. Because, let's be honest, if it's not 100%, you're not going to rely on that shit. But yeah, I'll give it an A tier if it's plus 30 and a C tier if it's not plus 30, since you'll always be dealing with the chance of it just not proccing. So let's compromise. We got A and C. We compromise. We'll put this at a beautiful B again. There we go. Checks out. It checks out, guys. Moving on, we have Justice for All. Up to 100% chance at max to grant the caster a random buff for 2 turns at the end of the caster's turn. You can get these buffs on the screen right now. Basically, after the wielder of this artifact take a turn, does a skill, and ends the turn, they'll instantly be given a random buff right at this moment for a total of 2 turns. This buff is random, but almost all of them are quite useful for you to either survive better or hit harder. There are units that can benefit a lot from this, like Falcon the Clery, who takes a crap ton of turns, or Charlotte, who is hard as hell to kill. This artifact is a very decent, very solid A for me. Now, where is my Justice? There we go. It's a solid A for me. Next, we have Noble Oath. As health decreases, defense and effect resistance increase by up to 100%. This is also quite a weird one. This artifact gives the wielder more defensive stats as the wielder's HP gets lowered. The lower it is, the more they get. I've seen high defense crowds getting to horse 2 units at low HP just because the enemy simply couldn't do enough damage when Crow has really low HP and got the full bonus of the defense and the ER from the artifact, right? But then again, it's a fair trade. You'd have to sacrifice some protection for your allies since you would have had Aureus to protect your allies, but you'd get some great protection for yourself. It's also pretty niche though, since you can only use this to clutch out fights. And since you can only put this on a knight as well, you'll have to make sure the knight can do damage too. So we're looking at units like Crow or just Fighter Maya. There we go, Noble Oath. We're gonna put it at B. Spear of a New Dawn. The art is, after using the basic skill, has up to 100% chance to inflict additional damage to the target. Damage is increased proportional to the wielder's attack. Only Senya, and potentially maybe Charlotte, but probably not Charlotte, would use this, and because of that, I'll put this at a C. There's only pretty much 2 units that could use it, and Senya would love it. Charlotte, I don't think is the best artifact for her, so honestly, only Senya would really want it. And honestly, with Senya, you could Elmers. You could put Elmers on her, or a wide variety of other stuff. But Spirit of a New Dawn is one of the options, and she does benefit with it, so I guess. Alright, next, Steadfast Gatekeeper increases CR of the caster by up to 8% when the wielder suffers an AoE. It does exactly what it says. Pretty sure not much explanation is needed, right? Pretty niche as well. Personally, I never found that I needed this artifact at all since its release, and honestly, I haven't seen much use of this, so I'll have to put this at a C, maybe a D. You know, let's just put it at a C because she's cute. Next off, Sword of Azura. Decreases damage suffered by the wielder from elite or bosses by 30% at max. Basically, you'd have to use this in a PvE stage, for sure. You cannot use this at a PvP stage. For newer players though, I suggest keeping hold of this if you have this. You might need this for your Wyvern 13 auto runs, you never know. But that's really it. You know, just PvE and get to the point where you can farm Wyvern on auto, Wyvern 13 on auto with Sword of Azura. Without Sword of Azura, you probably won't ever need Sword of Azura anymore. I will give it a C. Oh god, I'm tired. Finally, we have... I just realized I missed one. Shit, I missed one. Next, we've got Rise of Monarch. It increases defense by 10%. Just pure stat increase, that's always good. At the end of the wielder's turn, grants a barrier equivalent to 16% of the caster's HP for 2 turns to the ally with the lowest HP. Note that the wielder cannot grant him or herself the barrier. It has to be some other ally. You can only have one hero within the same battle using the effect of this artifact. Any other knight that also uses this artifact will not have their effects applied. This one's also pretty solid, but usually people would just use someone like FCC that does exactly that, but probably better. B for that beautiful Cecilia art. And finally, we've got Wings of Light and Shadow, the best artifact in the game, only in terms of the art. I'll go to the conclusion, shall we? The best artifact here with the best art. Dust. It increases crit chance by 15%, and when a crit is made with a single attack, it increases the damage of the next attack by up to 20%. This is probably only usable on units like Ilinov and Mort, and they both benefit from Elmers way more. It's likely that this artifact will never see the light of day. And that's all Knight's artifacts explained. And before they release another one like tomorrow, to all the newer players out there, you're going to climb the ladder of PvP, and eventually you are going to exude confidence enough that you'll reach the peak of it. And I have one favor for you. When you reach the peak of PvP, do remember that your journey started here. It's this exact video. You absolutely couldn't have understood it with just reading the skill description, and you absolutely needed this video, trust me. But anyways, if you're new, you can really just try this out by some trials and errors, or just lose enough in RTA until you realize what everything does. That's what I do. I hope this video did help bust some myths or some random arguments your friends may have with you, and do use this video as your proof for argument, okay? If you're arguing about something like Aureus stacks, be sure to go to this video and be like, hey, shut your trap. This guy right here definitely knows what he's talking about. He says it doesn't stack, okay? But yeah, hope this video helped someone out, and yeah, let me know what you think in this sorts of video. It's something new. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Take care.